Ready to party during the pandemic this holiday season? Welcome to today's episode of Total Health Live. We are on the move. I'm Dr. Christopher Vogelmann, who has just recently moved and living a life out of boxes. And with me, as always, is the uber-talented nutritionist of the stars, Monika Klein.
Howdy. Yes, your new location.
New location. I'm up against a brick wall.
Yes, you are, literally. Literally. I saw a lot of boxes moving around before we got on the air.
I attempted and succeeded in feats of superhuman strength up until 3:30 in the morning on Tuesday. Wednesday.
Is that when you moved?
Yeah, moved Tuesday, but I couldn't finish some of the stuff, spackling and all kinds of other things until Wednesday. In fact, I had to go back and patch more things because the landlord insisted that we fill in the holes. But that's the first landlord in my many moons of moving who has ever requested that you fill in the holes because they want to do it themselves. Or they say, don't do anything, so we repaint it.
Welcome to California.
No, it's not even in the lease. That's the best part. So anyway, but we just need that deposit back. So speaking of deposits, as we deposit ourselves into our seats this holiday season, there are numerous things to consider. One of them being the big O, not the one that you think, but Omicron, another Greek letter.
Let's talk about Oprah instead of the other O.
Well, there's another big O, but we're not going to talk about this because this is a PG-13 show. So, by the way, those of you who are watching live, we appreciate you tuning in live, but we know the vast majority of you watch in the replay. So please use the hashtag replay in the comments section so that we know that you are here. Also, we can recognize your questions and comments. And as always, it sprinkles a little bit of magic social media dust on all of our broadcasts. So
it is a magical season.
It is a magical season. Fa la 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 la.
Yes. How was your Thanksgiving? Should we talk about Thanksgiving?
You can talk about Thanksgiving, but apparently I have to let my wife in the door. So, oh no, I left the door open for her. Hopefully she knows to come in.
This is live, everybody.
Live. Oh, it's definitely live.
And this is reality TV right now, reality Facebook Live.
Hang on. She might have a batch of cookies. That's another story.
Well, we're not talking about healthy food then if there are cookies awaiting. But hello, everyone. I'm flying solo right now for a few minutes, and I hope you all had a lovely Thanksgiving and enjoyed probably more company than you might have last year. So that's great. I was just sharing here, Christopher, about the Thanksgiving and wishing hopefully everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I too, last year I had pumpkin and fenugreek pumpkin and spinach. And this year I actually had turkey. I had turkey and I visited friends for a brief moment. Very, very in and out. It wasn't an in and out it was an in and out turkey.
In and out turkey, not a turducken?
It was an in-and-out Thanksgiving turkey meal, and it was delicious at a friend's place and at her family's place. So I enjoyed that immensely. And you?
It was good. We went up to Long Beach. We had all the things you can possibly imagine. I ate moderately. I even had a small piece of pumpkin pie, whereas my usual would be like, a third of a pie would be my thing. So I followed your advice, and I was moderate.
And I had homemade, it was a care package, homemade, sent sort of takeout, homemade apple pie, which was just a small piece, but it lasted 3 days. So,
a small piece of pie lasts 3 days?
Yeah, it was about, it was about maybe a quarter or a fifth of a pie.
Wow, that wouldn't do for me. Sorry.
No, it wasn't a quarter. It must have been about a fifth of a pie, but it was delicious and it wasn't too sweet and it was homemade, non-gluten.
Who's home?
This is my friend's home.
Okay.
And, well, it was her family's home, and she invited me to the festivities.
So she wasn't home alone.
Not home alone. She was not at her home. So anyway, it was delightful. And I have yet to have, actually, I did have my first eggnog a couple of nights ago.
Oh,
This much, no alcohol. And I just tasted it because one of our aides here, he had never tasted eggnog before in his life.
oh,
So he doesn't drink, and he doesn't, his family is Filipino background, and they're not accustomed to eggnog. So we had it, and we have it in our fridge right now for everyone to enjoy.
do they have leg nog too, or no?
Well, it becomes leg nog, you know.
Keep your eyes on your thighs.
It doesn't start out as leg nog. It starts out as eggnog, and then it converts in this biochemical process, converts into leg nog.
It makes you all leggy.
Or abdominal nog, or whatever you want to call it.
Abdominog.
Abdominal, yeah. So
The abominable leg
better.
nog. The abominable
Leg seems to work better with egg, that's for sure.
Like an egg.
So, yeah.
All right.
So we are in the season, and we need to watch. And I know we've got some great questions today that may be revolving around this issue of festive feasting.
Festiva. The Ford Fiesta. So,
you do?
No, I don't. I used to drive one in Europe though, because they're very popular in Europe.
Yeah. Yes.
So you said, "Oh no, don't tell me about Omicron."
Yeah. So I don't really want to talk about it very much.
I do briefly, only that there's a new study out from South Africa, a very reputable peer review study that says that that people who have been previously infected with, say, Alpha or Delta COVID can be infected. If they have a previous infection, they can be infected by the Omicron, mainly because the little critter has been evolving in so many ways that his genome is different. At least the spike protein has 32 or 33 different varieties. So
this could be 16 years, two variants per year, 16 years of this thing.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's the type of thing where it's starting to behave. Aside from the fact that it's amazing to see how this thing evolves so quickly, but it's starting to look a lot more like the type of thing like a flu. You know, not the flu in your fireplace. You know, but similar to the type of thing where people might be, you know, interested in getting, if they're inclined to get the flu vaccine, they might want to get their annual COVID vaccine. It just depends.
Yeah, well, that's the whole MO, right? Vaccination and
well, I mean, but having had 3 people in the family die of COVID, I mean, you can, you know, say whatever you want. I mean, the reality is, if you are burying somebody,
what am I saying, Christopher?
You're saying that this is a conspiracy of vaccination.
I didn't say anything about conspiracy.
It's the whole MO about vaccines.
All I'm saying is that I don't want to take any drugs that I don't have to. That's all I'm saying.
All right. But when you say
it's like the reflex.
The MO, because I've been getting attacked by so many people because this is the first time I've ever had a vaccine in 63 years. I mean, and people are calling me a traitor. They're calling me, you know, a fraud, natural health, and this and that. But I mean, gosh, even Daniel Amen got, you know, the vaccine.
Yeah. So I am not. I'm saying that any kind of opposing view or a varied view is thought of as conspiratorial, which is absolutely a false narrative. What we're doing, what we have to do, I mean, in science is all about discussion and research and investigation and communication. And, you know, you talk about evolving, it's evolving. So there's a lot of sharing of information, and it's not just black or white. So this is my point today. And oftentimes it's like, let's have conversations about it. Let's not just say that, you know, if I say one word that has an inkling that I might be opposed to having a vaccine, doesn't mean I'm conspiratorial. It just means I'd like to investigate a little bit more. I'd like to know a little bit more, which is what's wrong with that.
Nothing's wrong with that. I think that the majority of people know very little about virology and pathology, and having taken numerous classes and done all kinds of things in the realm of pathology, and my even referencing my books on pathology, the mechanisms of how a virus works are very different than a discussion. You can have all the discussions you want, but if people just keep talking while their relatives are dying, fine, talk away. But I think this hits me very personally from the standpoint of, I'm a huge proponent of boosting your immune system. And the challenge that happens is, and this is not going to be the only pandemic, forget COVID, there'll be other ones coming, just based on the fact that the way things are and how closely knit the entire world is, there are going to be other zoonotic organisms that are going to wind up in the human system. And with that in mind, there's nothing wrong with protecting yourself. And I think once it hits you very personally, I think that you have a different perspective, because then it becomes, why didn't anybody tell me that I needed to have a vaccine? Or why weren't they supplied to us in time? That type of stuff. So, and there's a natural selection thing that's going on here too, because do you want to preserve human life, or would you like to cut down the population a bit?
So there's a lot of political stuff, and I'm sure a lot of people had this conversation around the Thanksgiving table or a backyard, wherever they were having their gathering. I'm sure there was a lot of this kind of conversation, and it is so enmeshed in politics and political and the dichotomy of viewpoints, which is, it's just one or the other. It's very bipolar viewpoints, but it's not just here or there. There's so much in between.
Who's bipolar?
It's polarizing. This is a polarizing, but it is bipolar. It's not, there's always, it's two poles, right, on opposite ends. So, but there are a lot of conversations with quite credible physicians, scientists, people working in the field, that want to talk about this as well. I'm not just talking about a layperson who has no concept of, how the mechanisms, as you said, how things like this work. I'm talking about people who are credible and who have some knowledge, working knowledge and clinical knowledge. And I know you had this personal experience. I too, it affected my family. I didn't have any deaths thus far, touch wood, but it definitely affected my family early on, way back in March 2020. So it's a hot topic. It's a hot topic. It's a button, a hot topic, triggering topic. So with that, do you have anything more to say about anything more?
Just that it's coming. It's in New York, it's in Minnesota, it's in San Francisco, and it's now in LA. So
okay.
Get ready, folks. We're going to be back to our masks and social distancing probably by New Year's.
We've never stopped wearing masks around here. So
well, yeah, I know in LA County. In fact, I forgot to bring a mask.
It's not even LA County, it's Ventura County too. Everywhere I go, a lot of things that we're saying, the phrases that we're saying, can lead us into a festive Christmas song.
By the way, speaking of festivities, though, in San Diego, it's like San Diego County has like 81% of the population over the age of 12 at least has one shot. And it's very similar to what's going on in parts of Australia, where they had anywhere from 80 to 90% vaccination rates. But they're locking down now too in Australia. So
I had a little bit of an issue. I wanted my best friend to come visit me from Canada, and she wonderfully, she retired from the airline, so she gets to fly wherever she wants. But the big problem was the cost of testing. In Canada, I think it was $40, but here it was like $200 for her to go back.
Yeah, it's about it down here. It's about anywhere. It's as low as 99 if you go close to the border, but it's about 180 at the San Diego airport.
That's if you live here. We investigated it, and there's so many. It's not. Why is this not real clear? Like how to get it, the cost, where to get it, blah blah blah. Why is that not clear? It should have been cleared before the borders opened. I mean, there's just so much vagueness and so much, even a year ago, we were looking at testing sites and it was impossible to find. I mean, it took me literally 8 hours to find out where to get tested.
It's actually very easy to find a testing site nowadays. And
Now it is.
the home testing kits are about to be covered. No, they're already out. But the cost is going to be covered by the current administration, actually through the recent acts.
Yeah, I just saw it on the news yesterday that that's what's being rolled out. Finally, the at-home testing, but they've been available in Europe for some time. Why the delay here?
Well, I will tell you also, Europe is fairly chaotic when it comes to the management of the COVID and the variants right now. There's a lot of interesting reports from different European countries.
Who isn't chaotic?
The problem is that those in charge of the government are far behind the science. And so that's the problem right there. So.
Well, it sounds like it's chaos 101.
Don't travel. And stay home for the holiday. Remember, because there's no place like home
for the holidays.
I don't know if we're going to get slapped with a copyright infringement though if we go too far.
Oh, but is that not? I
don't think it's public domain.
Yeah, it's public domain. All the songs.
I don't think so. It depends. Really? Yeah, there are a bunch of Christmas songs that are not public domain, so you got to be careful. Be careful.
Let's be careful. Let's get the list.
Speaking of being careful, we have Faye from Fresno who wants to be careful because she says, I gained 10 pounds over the last month. Too much stress. The holidays just started. I need help. Well, it's a little general. What do you have to say?
You need help. You've gained 10 pounds. The holidays are starting. What an equation for either a disaster or a transformation, let's say. So again, we don't know how, I'm assuming that you started eating things that are available.
And we're also assuming, Faye, that you didn't get pregnant and you've gained 10 pounds.
No, I think okay. That would not be a problem.
Okay.
And it sounds like there is a problem here. And it sounds like, you don't want to continue on this path. So what to do? So just get it out of your house. Just don't buy it. Don't bring it. Do not go to places that cause you to buy stuff that is just stuff. I mean, most of us know what junk, even though it's in a healthy store or a perceived healthy store, if it's not whole, if it's not coming from Mother Earth, it's not going to be the best thing for you. Occasionally, okay, you can have some of these things. I actually have cookies were sent to me, like a couple of people were bringing cookies and donuts again. And I have donuts again. And it's like having an alcohol problem and having alcohol around all the time, or having trying to, quit smoking and being around people who smoke all the time. But you either, if you're too vulnerable, just don't bring it in the house, throw it away, give it away.
She says she's under a lot of stress. I'm imagining stress eating is a big thing here.
Yeah. So if you're stressed, maybe you start the day off feeling virtuous and I'm going to, stay on the path and everything. But then those stressors come in, and especially at the end of the day when you're totally exhausted and you're running out of gas, that's when those kinds of foods, if they're around and in sight, you will gravitate towards them. They're easy. They're simple. They're there. And they satisfy your sweet tooth, your, desire for salt, sweet and salt.
Sweet and sour pork.
Yeah. So try and also try and have meals. Try to get yourself on a schedule of eating meals, and that'll, prevent you perhaps from having these snacking periods.
Yeah, there's no reason, Faye, that you have to gain another 10 pounds.
One of my aides was making applesauce this morning from organic apples at 7 in the morning. And And so she made the applesauce, but she cut up some apples for me and put them in a Tupperware in the fridge. And that's what I was munching on this morning. And it's nice to have it prepared. It's easier when it's prepared. So if someone can help you, or if you just sort of, do that kind of thing, have it ready, have like cut up vegetables, cut up fruit, have it ready and ready to make it simple. Make that as simple as the snacks are.
I think those are all good suggestions. Now we're going to move on to Ben from Casper, the Friendly Ghost, Wyoming.
Ah.
He says, I've got a big appetite, but I realize I can't eat the same amount that I used to. I'm 52 and used to being much more physically active, but now not so much. Oh, I used to be more physically active. Okay. I don't want to gain weight, but I also don't want to go to the gym every day to keep it off. Do you have any suggestions? Well, the gym's not going to keep your weight off as much as modifying your intake in the kitchen will.
Mm-hmm. I mean, working out and exercising helps, but it's, it's 80% is in the kitchen. So you being a male around his age, what do you suggest?
Hell no, I'm a lot older than him. I mean, just
a lot older, really?
At least a decade, yeah.
That's
He's 52. He's 52.
Yeah.
I could be 42.
52.
What's that? I was once 52. I was once 25.
Sure.
I mean, so the issue is just you have to become more physically active and modify. I mean, your appetite is a big appetite. It's fine. So the question is, what are you choosing to eat? If the big appetite revolves around sugary stuff and pizza pies and other things and regular pie, and if you had an ice cream habit, like I have not had recently, which is interesting, then you're just going to have to modify your intake in some way. You can eat tons and tons and tons of food if it's like low carbohydrate vegetables and those types of things. But if the big appetite revolves around processed foods and lots of carbohydrates and sugars, that's the issue right there.
Interesting. You mentioned low carbohydrate vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate?
What do you want? Like a carrot is more high carb. So are green peas. They're higher carb. But if you're looking at something like a Brussels sprouts or cabbage or broccoli or certain things that are, cruciferous vegetables like that, which are good to support your liver, but at the same time don't contain a lot of carbs. Those are good choices.
I think all vegetables are fine. Actually,
really?
I think, all vegetables are fine because they've got so much. They're just like chock full of nutrition.
So do you consider potatoes fine? Or we not consider?
Potatoes are fine. Potatoes.
I think the challenge is that most people, when they say, "Oh, potatoes, it's a vegetable, it's fine," they're going to the French fries, they're going to the stuffed baked potatoes and things like that. That's the problem with the potato.
The association of that. No, potatoes. I mean, it's loaded with vitamin C if you cook it with the peels. I grew up in a household where we had. Cutting peeling potatoes was like a national, well, not a national. Yeah, it was a national weekly event.
It's a Canadian thing. You don't understand.
No, it's not a Canadian. It was more of a German thing. European.
Kartoffel.
Potatoes were everything. I mean, we didn't eat a lot of rice. We ate potatoes. I mean, it was always Kartoffelschalen. And we had this huge thing in the basement, which was, I don't know how many pounds of potatoes. We'd have the potato man. He would deliver.
Was Mr. Potato Man anatomically correct?
Delivered pounds and pounds of potatoes, and because we were feeding 10 people at least every day, so there was a lot of eating to be done. So did
anybody become a Kartoffelkopf?
Yeah, potato head. Yes, we did. In fact, my parents grew potatoes in the garden as well. So we had potatoes.
But you didn't make enough growing, so you had to import them from the potato.
No, it's not enough because we were growing all sorts of other things. But we had a lot of potatoes, and then there's the wonderful potatoes, the spring potatoes or the early summer potatoes, the small red ones. Those were great for various things. Then you've got potato pancakes and potato everything. Potato
puree.
And so potatoes. So I'm not saying just eat potatoes, but don't potatoes aren't to be maligned because they are nutritious. And just like the poor egg was maligned for so many years,
And still is in many circles.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we talk about high carbohydrate vegetables, we're talking about squashes, we're talking about carrots, and all these things are really, really important in your diet. So all vegetables are good. And that's maybe why you might be overeating, because you're not getting enough of a balanced meal where you're getting a lot of nutrition from different diversity.
I was going to say, we don't even know what Ben's diet actually is. He just says, I have a big appetite and I can't eat like I used to.
Yeah, and I hear this a lot. And mostly from men, actually, because women don't brag about their appetite like men do. And so I usually hear it from men. And so, yeah, I mean, your digestive system is going to slow down somewhat as you age. You may not be breaking it down efficiently. It may be the combination. It may be when you're eating. It may be maybe you're eating late at night. So let's assume that you're actually eating healthy. Maybe you're a meat and potato guy. You're from Wyoming, right? So maybe that's meat and potatoes. And so
there are a lot of ranches out there in Wyoming.
Yeah. So diversify a little bit and add more vegetables. And sometimes I find that men, I remember my dad always saying, it's rabbit food. Vegetables are rabbit food. Although we had this huge, actually rabbit food was more like salads.
Hasenpfeffer.
But Hasenpfeffer. Hasenessen.
Hasenessen. Yeah.
Yeah, it was more like the salads he would call that, because that's not kind of a manly thing to eat.
It hasn't been cooked to death, therefore it's not manly.
I guess. So I hope that's given you some ideas. Bring on the vegetables, have more variety in your diet, more vitality, variety. Not just meat and potatoes, even though I just did a whole diatribe on potatoes.
But and one last potato fact for you. This is interesting. So for many, many years, I used to do a lot of different juicing. Sometimes carrot juices, the types of things, but very in small quantities. But one of the things I remember from one of my books is that raw potato juice was very good to help to heal ulcers. I thought that was very interesting.
I remember you mentioning that, and I've had an ulcer and I've not tried it. So
try it next time.
How would you drink it? You would just
juice the potato. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could put some parsley in it or other things like that. But I mean, the main thing is
maybe garlic.
I don't know. I think the garlic would irritate, but the potato might be more soothing.
Garlic can be very healing. Actually, can be very healing.
Well, why don't you try it both ways?
Yeah, or just Google a recipe for that. Potato juice for ulcers.
For ulcers, yeah. Okay, so moving on from Mr. Potato Head, we're going to go to Georgia, to Athens, Georgia, where Caitlin has these comments and a question. Thanksgiving was easy to stay on track with my eating, but I'm getting invited to more and more holiday events. I don't want to overdo it. Should I just say no to some of them and forego overcommitting, overdoing eating and drinking, etc., etc.?
Yeah, do all of that.
Do all of it.
Just say no.
Caitlin has answered her own question.
Yeah, I just say overcommit to saying no.
Yeah. Boundaries.
Yeah. So no is a good thing that people need to learn how to say more often, especially during the holiday season.
No.
And especially if you tend to be a people pleaser, you want to have those boundaries, as Christopher just mentioned. It's like you can't do it all. And if you want to, think of yourself first of all. Think of what is best for you. And I'm not encouraging selfishness per se. I'm encouraging you, like, first of all, is this more important than this? Is my eating, staying on track with my eating, more important than my going to this particular event? And maybe you want to limit yourself. Maybe it's just one per week, or maybe it's like, I'm only going to go to 6 for the holiday season. Maybe give yourself some sort of guideline. I'm
going to go to a party and I'll have 1 glass of wine, not 2 or 3. That's the other thing, because she's talking about drinking, overeating and over drinking. So.
Yeah, but over drinking might not just be alcohol, although it's much more
Could be
caloric.
sodas.
Yeah, it could be all sorts of things.
Too many
Um,
Shirley Temples.
yeah, and here's another great secret is I would eat something before you go.
Mm-hmm.
Some sort of, balance, something, vegetables and cheese, or, some nice, a few crackers and some cheese, or, something to kind of, so you're not going to these events starving, because that's when you're liable to overeat for sure. Even if it's a big dinner, I mean, everyone sort of saves themselves for the big dinner. I would have a little, healthy snack before you go, and drink water, because sometimes you're overeating because you're dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about that all the time, don't we, Christopher?
Yes, because thirst can often mask itself as the sensation of hunger. So.
Yeah. So I know for me, for Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving, I really ate very light in the morning. And I mean, Thanksgiving is such a heavy meal, and it's usually earlier in the day here in this country. It's usually earlier. Not so much in Canada. It's usually like an evening dinner. But here, I think it was at 2 or 3 o'clock. So that's kind of common.
Yeah, my grandmother used to always schedule it for 1 p.m. and with the full understanding that my dad trying to round up my mom plus 5 kids was difficult. And so we actually never sat down to eat till 2 p.m.
And hence the whole European tradition, or many other cultures actually, having a big meal at lunchtime between 10 and 2. That is the best time. So
yeah, she was shocked one time when we did arrive at 1 p.m. and nothing was ready. She automatically assumed we wouldn't show up until 2, even though she told us more.
So you all had to pitch in. Maybe that was her strategy there.
It's pretty small. It's hard to pitch in the kitchen because it was so much without pitching. But it was, yeah. So there was, and then, but we, up in Long Beach, we had it, I think, around 4 p.m. or something like that. So it was kind of like early. It was like the early bird special.
I call it sunch, between supper.
I call it linner. Somewhere
or
between
linner. I call it that too. It just doesn't seem to sound as easy or elegant or.
Oh, I think linner sounds much better than dunch.
Well, sunch.
Oh, I was thinking dinner plus lunch is dunch.
Well, supper and dinner, supper and lunch. It hasn't caught on.
I like linner.
Yeah, I mean, I call it linner or sunch. So either way will go, but it hasn't caught on like brunch.
No. So, but speaking of catching on, hopefully you've caught a few ideas, Caitlin, that will help you survive the holiday season.
I hope so.
So we're going to move on to the Buckeye State. Tommy from Columbus, Ohio. He says, I've been working on my schedule. Working on my schedule for the next month. Okay. I've got a lot of work projects due, and I'm the kind of guy who likes to stay up late, snack on pizza and chips and so forth when I'm under the gun. Any quick tips for getting me through this crunch without so much crunching and munching? Oh, you got 2 crunches there, Tommy. I would say one thing I will tell you, like carrot sticks, you can crunch them without worrying about, if you're just looking for a mouthfeel, I'm sure Monica has a lot of suggestions.
Almonds or nuts.
Almonds are great.
Almonds, pistachios, so yeah, that'll get, well, almonds certainly have a lot of crunch, so that would be good. Again, try and drink, have fluids,
a lot of water.
It's not the same as having pizza and chips and all that other stuff, but once you start on those, you can't stop. They're very addicting. They're designed to be addicting. The oils, the salt, and if the sweets you're having, those are constantly get you into this vicious cycle. And those aren't really the things that are going to keep you productive. In fact, they'll give you these spikes and then these drops, and these spikes and then these drops. And so that's going to make you much less productive. So I find that when I do a detox, specifically a detox, I'm much more alert, much more, I mean, not initially, but when you're eating cleanly, when you're eating really well, you will be more productive, have much more consistent energy throughout the day and into the evening. And in fact, you might be staying up in the evening because you're not being that productive during the day because you're not getting the right nutrients. With all these spikes and the roller coaster ride that you're having with your nutrition. So,
don't eat so dirty, Tommy.
Cut it out. And, so much of that is a habit, a lot of it comes from, college years when you were just doing anything to keep you awake and,
cold pizza for breakfast.
Cold pizza for breakfast and cake for breakfast and
never
cake. I had a client who used to have cake on her birthday for breakfast, and it's actually quite good with coffee.
I think, is that because life is short? You should eat dessert first. Life is uncertain. Life is uncertain.
She thought she was Marie Antoinette the early years.
Let him eat cake. Did Marie Antoinette drink coffee?
I don't know.
We have to
don't know about the coffee part. We do know about the cake part. We know about the champagne too.
Champagne.
So,
you just have to find something different. I mean, it's a question of your food choices, Tommy, really. I mean, and if the stress is there, it's just a habit that you have on chips and pizza and stuff like that, and get it out of the house.
There's a lot of themes, a very similar theme through all of these questions today. Mm-hmm. It's like, eating because you're stressed out from because of the holidays, you're stressed out because work or whatever, or your age, you're getting a little older. I hate using that. You're getting a little bit older, and so your body isn't working as efficiently as possible as it used to. So it's all about what's going on in your kitchen or on your plate. You just have to be a little more conscientious and a little more, you have to have more planning involved in what you're eating, not just randomly, blindly eating what's ever available.
But availability is an important thing. That's why I keep going back to the same thing, which is get it out of the house.
Get it out of the house. Get it out of the house. Yeah. There's an addictive process going on here. Yeah.
Not that you need a 12-step program.
And, and a lot of people sort of say, oh, it's the holidays, I'll start again in January. I'll be good in January again. Well, it's tougher in January after you've gained 10, 15, 20 pounds. So try and do the moderation now.
And in many parts of the US and Canada, it's very cold in January, and the likelihood of you getting outdoors and keeping your physical activity very high seems to diminish a bit. So that's where the food modification comes in handy.
Although there's thermogenesis when you're trying to keep your body warm because it's so cold.
Yeah, but a lot of people just choose not to go outside. Like, oh, it's slushy out there, it's snowing. I'm not going out today.
I found that I grew up in this cold weather, and there was people were hardy. People went out. You just go out because that's part of. I mean, that's the weather. You just
back in my day, people weren't as wimpy as they are now.
Yes. So
I mean, we went. I mean, we had a lot of snow in Buffalo, so we went out all the time. It didn't matter. We were in the backyard. We were in the backyard sometimes 2 or 3 hours straight when it's 20 degrees outside. So
yeah. I mean, you just get used to that kind of thing. So, but anyway, back to January. Just start today. Just do the best you can today, and that's another thing. Don't beat yourself up. Just start today. Do the best you can. Start tomorrow. Do the best you can.
It's a lot easier if you start now. January will be a lot easier if you start now.
Yeah.
Modifying some of these habits. The problem is then you're not stuck in this whole New Year's resolution crap, which is people make a resolution. Oh, I'm going to hit the gym every day and blah, blah, blah. They get their gym membership and they're going to do all this other stuff. They go 2-3 times and never change, or pizza's back in the house, or the chips have just, I'm just going to have one chip. Remember the old Lay's commercials? But you can't eat just one.
Yeah. And these habits start creeping in, and before you know it, you're back into full-blown food addiction.
Another pizza crunchy munchy time.
Another tip I would give you is weigh yourself once a week, just to keep you on the straight and narrow. Weigh yourself, put yourself on the scale, brave the scale, and do that so you can have some sort of reality check about what's going on. I mean, your clothes are a great indicator, but clothes are built for stretch these days, for comfort and stretch. So it's not as clear an indicator. So I would do that. Get on the scale.
Like those stretchy Thanksgiving pants.
Well, all pants now, or it's leisure, athleisure. It's just all about stretch and comfort.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Are
we
you
have
wearing sweats right now?
No, I'm in jeans that have a hole in the left knee, and my wife wants me
Very
to
trendy.
get rid of them. No,
Very
because
trendy.
I'm trendy. No, they just wore out over time, and in the move, they wore out even more. So.
Well, that's one thing I always used to say: let your jeans be your guide, because
My skinny jeans.
any kind of jeans, but there again there are stretch jeans now too.
I let my DNA be my guide. Those jeans.
DNA, the brand that's right for you.
the brand that is you.
That is.
Hey,
DNA, the brand that's you.
the brand. Speaking of brand and other words that begin with B, Annette from Brooklyn is asking a question.
Hello, Brooklyn.
Hello, Brooklyn. Can we talk? Can we talk?
Talk.
All right. She says,
Talk.
"Oh, this is going back to what we talked about earlier. Is it true that the consumption of eggnog should be tempered? I just love it, either with or without rum."
Yeah. Well, again, it's a nice treat to have if you enjoy it. It's nice to have it during the festive season, but if you just love it, that just tells me that there could be a problem.
Well, I know, and it depends on what you're saying when you love it. I mean, are you drinking like half a gallon a day or a quart a day? A quart a day will not keep the pounds away.
Well, this I think it was a liter or a quart of eggnog that arrived in my fridge this week from one of our aides here, and he had never had it before, and it tastes so yummy and it's so rich, and it's a good thing I looked at the calorie content, because had he had the whole bottle, because it tastes so good, he would have consumed 3,000 calories. 3,000 calories. And those calories, they're easier to accumulate when you're drinking the calories. But he probably would not have felt very good, and it would have been 3,000 calories in one fell swoop.
One fell swoop. And the increased weight might have caused him to fall. Then he would have fallen. He fell.
Yeah, he would have fallen in love with the eggnog and wanted more $3,000 calories.
The $3,000 eggnog.
Yeah, think of it that way. Maybe that'll deter you from drinking too much of it.
Too much eggnog could result in you winding up going to get health care with a $3,000 deductible. So
or you could lose your job because you won't feel good.
That's right.
Yeah. So just think of it that way. But let's take all that out of the equation here. If you want to have some eggnog, have one once in a while, but don't keep buying it. And again, just keep it out of your house. If you can't moderate, if you can't be moderate in your consumption, don't have it around.
Are you slapping your hand?
I am so.
Are you slap happy?
Here we go.
I'm
I'm trying to be emphatic here. That it's just, it's for everybody to hear these words, because it's tricky. It's tricky during the holidays. I remember reading once in many spiritual religious sects, SECTs. So they look at this as a feasting time, like the month of December as a feasting time, and they have all sorts of fasting times throughout the year, but this particular religious time of the year is feasting. So they kind of let themselves have some of the luxury of feasting, but they go right back to fasting and moderation right away after these feasting period. So it's sort of
so do that. Get yourself some religion, which allows you to feast and fast.
feast and fast and famine, feast and famine.
Famine, we don't advocate. All right, we
No.
have reached 45 minutes of today, so I think we're probably good. We finished all of our questions. Do you have any other comments?
I have more wisdom to share.
You have more wisdom?
Find non-caloric ways to celebrate. And
Like a breatharian diet, where you only use oxygen.
Giving yourself gifts of like a walk a day in the fresh air, being in nature, calling up a friend, going for a walk, things to nurture yourself, not necessarily to consume, but to nurture yourself emotionally and spiritually. And that'll take you away from needing to have this physical satisfaction all the time. So, light a candle, take a bath, with some Epsom salts or some lovely lavender essential oils in your bath. Do kind and loving things for yourself. Get yourself a foot massage I've got a massage set for Monday. I'm supposed to do it this last Monday, but I'm going to have a massage on Monday, and I'm looking forward to that. Have a pedicure, have a manicure. I can go on. The list goes on and on.
Have a womanicure.
What is that?
I don't know. Instead of a manicure, you get a womanicure.
Is that going on a date? Is that what that means?
I don't know. I just don't know. All right, but we do know is that we hope to have you back here again next week.
Sing a song, play music.
Are you going to sing for us now?
I'm just going to keep on talking and giving you.
Okay, I'll leave. You can end the broadcast.
No, that's all I have to share today. We have more to share next week, so please come back.
Sharing is caring. Hey, if you want to, well, I'm not going to. Yeah, I have to be careful the words that I use because all of these social media things, they listen to what we're saying.
Yeah,
kind of crazy. But if you want to sprinkle some social media fairy dust and are feeling generous, you can do that too. So we'll be back next week at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. We hope that you are moderate in your holiday festivities and get into good habits now so that you won't even have to make a resolution come New Year's.
Yes, and thank you for joining us. And we just really love the questions and your participation. So come on, join us. Come on down and join us every week here at Total Health Live.
Your name could be Faye or Tommy or Faye Ray being held up by a giant monkey. Who knows? Anyway, come back here next week and we will take all of your questions.